I wanted to start with the ambassador of Save a Child's Heart charity. Maybe tell about this charity a little bit more.
Oh, I don't speak about it in public.
You don't?
No,
Okay. No problem. No problem. I thought you wanted to promote it a little bit, but
no,
that's all.
never talk about those things.
Okay. And you were born in Israel, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. What are your memories of living in Israel?
I mean, until adult life, memories.
You were living there until you started to study in Leiden, is that right?
No, but then I moved back, so it's just two times in my life. So
Mm, okay. I I actually one of can you hear me well?
yeah,
Okay. One of my previous guests to the podcast also were studying in Leiden and then stayed in Leiden to in I mean in Netherlands to live permanently after the graduation. So maybe you could tell about this move to live in Netherlands
sure.
and why did you change uh, I understand that you switched also at that time or sometimes later from tax to business. Is that right?
Yeah, so tell me when we start recording, so I'll go from the beginning of it. So
Say again?
let me know when you want to start recording, so I will start the beginning of the story. Or
Yeah, it's already recording, so we
okay,
can start.
sorry. Okay, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So, which of those questions would you like to start with?
Yeah, I don't mind to speak about moving from Israel to the Netherlands and starting the
Mhm.
tax career and starting
Okay.
Young IFA
Yeah.
and all that stuff, I
Yeah.
guess.
Let's start with that.
So a lot of people are curious, Yanis, about my career because it's not the typical one, and I must admit to you, I never planned it. It's not that I was planning any move, and a lot of these things that you're going to hear from a lot of people are kind of where life brings you. But honestly, it's when I studied university, I wanted to do more than just law. So I studied law and accounting and I did other stuff because I just wanted to I have opportunity to learn. And in my time it was very difficult. I need to get a special permission from the rector of university. Nowadays everybody study like 3 4 faculties, but in that time university wanted you to study only one faculty, and I insisted to study more. So I had to get a special permission, and because I was always in my background, I was computer, physics, mathematics, nothing to do with law. I mean, honest with you, my father sold my computer, bought encyclopedia, and I went to law. I didn't know nothing about it, like most of us, and well, okay, I'll study it. But then I realized during studying it that I want to combine both my scientific, my left brain part with the right brain part, and do something more. And that's why I thought what could be interesting, maybe law. Beginning, I thought about being a doctor, and I thought about medical negligence. But then you have to study another 7 years after that. That's too much, and that's why I went for something more close to me, was accounting and law. And I literally worked for the best law firms in Israel. And I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, even then, I had already a network, and I even via the lover of one of the best lawyers in Israel, I got to be a stagiaire in his firm. Although this stage closed 10 years in advance, but if you know the secret doors, you can always come. And I've been in the best law firms in Israel, and then I wanted more. And one of the firm I worked was a tax firm, and the head of the firm said to me, he was professor in university, and a few times he got sick, so he sent me to teach in university. That's where I started loving teaching in public and speaking in front of students. And I got more and more universities asking me to speak. I was actually speaking at 8 university, running the tax course, and I enjoyed it. And I mean, all the students loved it. So that's why my session was always in the beginning of the day or the end of the day because everybody left after that home, so they didn't want to stay for other boring classes. And but then he told me, it's like, listen, you need to do more. You cannot just be with the first degree, and we have to do more. And the best to do more is not here, is internationally, and maybe do international tax or something. Um, so yeah, so I approached universities like NYU and other ones. I got accepted, but the fees was very high. And since I was teaching in universities in Israel, some of the universities willing to give me the money, but then I had to go back after the year of studying the second degree back to Israel, to the university. And I was not sure. I was not sure that really I want somebody to control my destiny. Um, Luckily enough, I mean, my wife is Dutch, my first girlfriend, and that's another story for itself. But at that time, they were opening a program in the Netherlands, and many of you for the tax would know Professor Kees van Raad. And in that time, he was thinking about studying the LLM, in international tax. So I said, you know what, my wife is Dutch. She could work at the same time that I'm studying. She could support us. And in the meantime, I can apply for the job to work to the study. Now, it was a new program just started. I'm talking about 1998. And I got accepted. And there were just the four students in this class, all the four of us. Elisa Guazelli from Brazil, Andrea Parolini from Italy. Many of you know those people because they know partners and know people. Norbert Scheiler from Germany, and another Dutch guy, Ruben. And all four of us, with me, I mean, together, with Ruben was part time, we were just studying the international tax, I mean, the first LLM program. I must admit that it was funny and wonderful because I learned a few things from it to carry for me from life. One, if you participating from the beginning, although some people say, yeah, beginning, yeah, but it is, we were shaping the program. We were meeting all the best professor of tax law because Case brought all his friends in the first year, Professor Abraham, Professor Dorenberg, Professor, some of them, McDaniel, people that are not with us anymore. We even met Klaus Vogel, as you know, those, tax fees. So we met amazing people. And I was a young guy meeting all the top guys, going with them to lunches, meeting them face to face, going with them to the chocolate store, buy chocolate to the families. Now, it can end there. It could really end there, and that's the end of it. Who am I? Just a young student. And these are professors at the end of the career, top of the career. But I
Legends.
always love, I always know, and I'm telling you something that those of you young people listening to us should listen. I always loved people. And I didn't do it because I needed something from them or just because I love people. Now, I was embarrassed with all my life as a lawyer. I could not say I'm in love people. Think, what are you crazy? What do you mean love people? But I can tell you, till these days, I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful that I invested in that, and I really put my heart and soul in it because all those people, all the life, I was there. And I always say to people, that's one of my motto nowadays. Many people build relationship for a reason, season, or lifetime. I want you to think about of every relationship you meet somebody, think to yourself, will I build relationship with this person for the rest of my life? Forget about reason or season. These are interest-driven people. These are people who come to suck your blood. They want something from you. These are not the people you want in your life. And if you really, really believe that this person you met, you want to build relationship for the rest of your life, invest in it. Every single day, every single month, every single year. It doesn't matter. Pop up there. Say, how are you? Not because of Corona. Do it all your life. And I did it all the time in my career. And I'm telling you that so many years later, that's what brought me where I am. Now, in that time in Leiden, I mean, it was awesome. We finished in 98. Then in 99, I mean, my wife was working on, had a very good job, but I want to convince her, I was too scared, it was good. And I wanted to go back to my country and I was not sure. And there was a lot of discussion what to do. In the end, I brought one of the biggest accounting firms to Israel called Morris Rowland in that time. And then I tried to convince some of the main firm in Israel to be the representative locally. But by doing so, I met the local representative in Israel of Morris Rowland and then Morris Stevens. And they were two Secretary of State of very involved in politics, accountant, very known one. So at the end, I end up making them becoming the head of international tax of this firm. Very young guy, and heading it. I mean, and I became in the board of Morris Stevens International. Every 2 weeks in London. Very young person. But there was something that I missed because remember, in Leiden we were just 4 students. And I knew that this university is going to do it every single year. It's going to grow. How do I keep in touch with those four people, international people? For a young person, it's very important. And coming from a small country, you want to keep in touch. And I was thinking, how do I build up those relationship, with all those people? And there was no Facebook, there was no LinkedIn, there was no any of those stuff. There was just
Mm.
phone and maybe emails, and that's it, a fax, and maybe some pigeon that was really unemployed when there's some work. But it was difficult. But I was thinking about it constantly all the time, and all my work was international tax. I mean, and literally because many people didn't want to deal in English in Israel, and a lot of Jewish families around the world needed to do wealth tax planning and wealth management. So I was literally involved with all those big families internationally. I did all the international work. I was very blessed at a young age to do huge things, but situation in that time was not so good. I mean, those who knows me knows, and because I never shared before, I wrote my best-selling book, The Attention Switch. But in my background, in 1992, I survived in Israel from a terrorist attack. So being
Mm.
alert for how valuable life is, how valuable this, and especially when you have a new family, because in 2000 we had the first daughter, we felt that's not good. We cannot grow a family here. I was traveling a lot internationally. I cannot leave my wife, my Dutch wife, there in Israel alone, and me going to Holland to meet to stay with my mother-in-law was very ridiculous.
Mm.
And between brackets, as tax laws, the Dutch is 140 so treaties. So the Netherlands was so beneficiary for international tax purposes. So I found myself always in the Netherlands. Almost every client has a Dutch entity in the structures, a finance, a holding, a royalty. So I was always here. And that's when we made the decision, okay, we could go back to the Netherlands to live there. And instead of me traveling Israel and Holland, then I'll travel to meet my client in Israel. What's the big deal?
Mm. Mm.
And that's the decision was made in 2001. We decided to move. Actually, my wife's birthday, 1st of May. And then I looked what to do. And at that time, there was not really a hunger here. And they want to teach only universities, want to do in the work and look at some of the firm. But I really want to take a really leading role because where I come from, managing director, Morris Stevens, it was not kind of, I didn't want to go down. Ego was playing a role, of course. So I found another job. Actually, it was a small company from Denmark who started in the Netherlands, and I was the head of international tax. Was sitting here. It was good for me, convenient for me. My wife is here in the Netherlands, and we decided to move. But here's what happened. Those of you knows, some countries don't like these interesting international tax treaties, and decided exactly in the same month we moved, Israel decided to do something with the tax treaty with the Netherlands. Of course, tax treaty you cannot cancel unilaterally because it says it's between countries, so you change your local rules. And they just changed the rules and said, you know what, from now on, we don't get 25% zero withholding tax on things done between Israeli and Dutch company unless the source of this income is in Israel. Which means for a lot of entrepreneurs in Israel to have a Dutch entity was not so beneficiary, which means for me cutting actually the traveling between Israel and Netherlands. What
Mm.
do you do now? You're moving to a new country with your family. You think, hey, blossom. I can see my parents and anywhere be in Holland. My wife is happy, but then suddenly they're killing it for you. What do you do? I mean, I'm not talking about tax anymore. This is changing your life. And at the end, what we decided to, so first I could not change the regulation, of course. So that's the regulation. The only thing that really I'm sad backward now is the fact that they changed the rule. I didn't see myself visiting my parents for about maybe twice in the first 10 years we lived in the Netherlands. And I'm sad about it because during the time my mother had died and I didn't see them a lot because I was traveling constantly internationally and Israel was not in my route anymore. And I used my look and I went to Indian countries. I helped the Turkish, I helped the Brazilian and Latin American, I helped the Arabs world just because I look like it. Everybody thought I'm local. And I used it for some, instead of feeling, oh my God, miserable. No. I was every 2 months in India, every 2 months in Turkey, every 2 months in Brazil, every 2 months in other Latin America, every 2 months in China, every 2 months in Russia, every 2 months in Ukraine. Constantly traveling, meeting, enlarging my network. Of course, my boss pays it, but in the same time, building a lot of client base internationally. And that was what I did. And then, I started knowing the international. I hope the story is not too long and not boring to a lot of you, but it's just to
No,
show
no, no. By all means.
our life brings me. It's all tax at the end of the day. And then, of course, living in Netherlands, Netherlands is a hub for a lot of international tax. The IBFD was interesting hub for it. I met a lot of nice colleagues in IBFD. We were meeting every Friday. That was the time, but we really had a really getting together, with people like Carlo Romano and who else? I mean, and Carmina Rotendaro and other people who've been IBFD, very known names in the international tax world now, and people who work for Maisto and other firm. And so I got to know a lot of people internationally, and because I was kind of the outsider coming from another country, I could meet a lot of people. And I live in the country, so I met the head of IBFD, and I met the board there, and then I got to meet Professor Martin Ellis. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, and he was secretary of IFA. And then, I decided to write a page about how to build the network of the IFA, because IFA was an old organization that didn't grow up, didn't see a lot of young faces. I said, oh my God, there's opportunity here. So I wrote pages, but I didn't show it to nobody. And then we had the Congress in Australia, and I wrote the Israeli chapter on international tax for the IFA booklet, as you know, the Kaya for Australia. And I got to sit in a dinner with then the president of IFA, Yoram Libin, and his wife. And I shared with him my story about, I wanted to do to bring more young people. He loved it so much. He said, what are you waiting? Itzik, do it. And we, together with him, with his help, because he was finishing his presidency and the new president of Marcus de Sax from Switzerland started. And together with him and Martin Ellis, they just loved it. And I established Young IFA. I established the logo. I remember with my wife sitting at home creating all kind of logos. And the logos, today is just created in my house. I have all the evidence at home. I wrote what is going to happen. Then I was sitting in the board of IFA. They're asking, how would you look like? I started, the meeting, the party, the congress within IFA. As you know, it become very big. I'm so proud of it till these days that your dream should be bigger than your thoughts. When you bring bigger than your thoughts and live when everybody forgot about you, that's success. And many people do not know, but that's why I started in 2005. Brilliant thing. We got so many doors around the world. I was the heart and soul of it. We launched it, by the way, in Sweden, from all the places in the world. The first Young IFA event was in Sweden, together with Professor Bertil and Ulrika Gustafsson, which is now in a committee of IBA. So look how everywhere young people were, you see. So I know almost everybody, as you said, indeed, in the tax world, because they were young people. And when you invested, when you build it before you need it, one day everybody become partner and the chairman and the CEO and the minister, but you know them for 25 years. And if you never use this opportunity, never misuse this relationship, you build it for lifetime, it will always serve you. It will always serve you, even for just being nice to each other. And then was brilliant life. I mean, as being tax lawyer, and I wrote all the tax magazine Israel, all the international tax for the newspaper. I was the head of Cathedral Tax Law of Manchester University, all based on connection. None of them based on my qualification or being the best tax lawyer. Not at all. All this bullshit. All knowing the right people and the right thing, getting the opportunities, and work hard to show that you can do them. That's all what it is. It's nothing to do with finishing cum laude or any of these things, not being in any directories, whatever. So that was my life in the Netherlands, doing very well. And then the tax world brought me to the trust world, helping corporate management services in many countries. But little by little, you felt like tax is not anymore creative. Tax anymore is not innovative. Like I love the creative part, to think out of the box. Yourself, those of you who live those years know that suddenly we felt that tax is not the drive force anymore. It's just a supporting force of deals. Tax is not anymore. If you're more creative, it's almost on the border of being criminal. You're avoiding tax instead of. So that didn't feel well. And at the same time, I didn't like the administrative part of tax. With a lot of corporate service providers, just administration bodies. And I was more a driven person to create the deals, to sit with the clients, to face to the clients, and more getting older, loving people, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So we sold our trust company in big time in 2012, and I was doubting myself. I was getting older. I have a huge network, but what do I want to do? What do I really want to do? I made money. I was successful. I reached every mountain possible. By then, I've been teaching so many places, getting all kind of awards, but that doesn't make me any difference. But what did I want? It's something that many people in business will call the legacy part of your life. Time that you're not thinking about yourself anymore, thinking, what can I do for others? What do I leave when I leave this world? What stay behind me? That's legacy. And that's, if you're young, you don't understand it till you reach that point. If you're old, if you never reach it, think about it because it's probably bothered you. I didn't know, but I only learned from one of the top speakers of the world called Les Brown, motivational speaker. He always said, you have to be hungry to be successful. If you're not hungry enough to success, you will never succeed. And I was not hungry. I was comfortable. I was good salaries, I had a good house, I had family, I had already 2 daughters. So if you want a new success, you want a new mountain, you need to be hungry. At the same time, to people listening now, or maybe working for a firm, said, no, I always wanted my own firm. I wanted one to start by my own. These fears are crawling in. And these fears is not anymore you, because when you have a family, when you have children, it's about them as well. Can you pay the mortgage? Can you maintain your lifestyle? Can you still be like you've been before? Can I survive if I don't have clients? What will happen then? All those fears coming in. And the only way to do it is to deal with the fears. Fears will never disappear. As I've been told many years ago, if there will be a fire now, Yanis, in your room over there, and you don't have fears, you're going to burn alive, right? So we need fears, because fears are there to protect us. But the whole idea, there's I think Oscar Wilde, I think, is the one who said that courage is not the absence of fear, is acting although there is fears. Courage is not the opposite of fears. Fears will be there all the time. You're just taking the fears, put it aside, and take the act. So I built 2 mountains of sands in our garden, and I showed my daughter, I'm top of this mountain. Papa is the chairman of blah blah blah, and I want to be on top of this mountain. I don't know what is it called, but I want to be there. And we all understood that I have to go very fast to a very deep valley. The ball should go very fast to the valley. When the deeper the valley, the faster the ball go up to the next mountain. And that's literally the metaphor, but that's true what I did. And so I decided, you know what, Itzik, let's go back to our board and say, okay, I'm quitting my job. I don't know where I'm going. I'm going to go to zero, but I have to quit in order to be hungry for the next thing in my life, which I didn't know what it is. But I was traveling. I said myself 1st of July, and it was 30th of June, and I was in a business trip in Moscow. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror, and I said to myself, "You are a liar. You're lying to yourself. You said 1st of July you quit. Look at you. You're here in another business trip." And that could continue the rest of my life, because I said I traveled all the time, constantly. I could travel. I live 10 minutes from the airport. I can come in the morning, go home, change my suitcase, go in the afternoon back to the airport. That's how was my life is. Not to complain, it's just that I love the international interaction, and there was no choice. Your clients are international. And then I came back to the office, and I decided just to decide on a date. So I said, 15th of July, I don't want to come. I want to think what I want to do. And the board tried to convince me, no, we just sold the company. We need you to stay because we, bringing the other clients to the nest. Let's stay please till September. Let's decide what can be done. And I said, listen, July, August, my children vacation, I would love to be with them. So, okay, why don't you take that? And in September, let's discuss. I'll be honest with all of you. I never discussed. I never came back. I just went to the 15th of July and never, ever came back. I'm sure that people still working in the company thinking I'm still traveling there because they never saw me anyway. Because there was no party. I just took the decision that I need this emptiness to be hungry to my next role, which I didn't know what was that, and sometimes the universe helps, because right away, right after that, what happened, I'm talking about September or so, taking the time, right away, my mother got sick in Israel, and in November, I had to move urgently to Israel, the time when I opened my new companies, and I got to really arrange with the company, the golden handshake, as we call it, and arranged to myself to go out, and she got sick in Israel and I had to go out. And unfortunately, in January 2013, she died. And her funeral was really thousands of people. And I didn't understand it because my mother was not a celebrity. So I asked one lady in her funeral, how do you know my mother? She said, I don't know your mother. So I said, what do you do in a funeral? She goes, we didn't know your mother, but we know your mother was a special person. When people were sad in the corridor, she would talk to them. She would encourage them. She would help them, but then she'd go to her room. So the lady said, we didn't know your mother, but we know that when the lady that in that room died, they all came to a funeral. And I remember sitting with my 4 sisters and my father, and I knew my mother never knew that in her lifetime. I said, I hope she could see that, because she never saw that. But that's the moment, again, remember the word legacy I said before. That's when it hits you again. Do you really want that to happen after you leave the world, or you really want to see how do you help other people from a deep point of servicing and helping them change their life when you're still here, that you see it in front of you? And that's the strong feeling I had. I didn't know where it takes me, but I knew I need to do something to help others, because that's enough is enough for all those people see around me that don't shine. Amazing people that I'm laughing to this, they call them the best kept secret of the markets. Why? Because amazing people, nobody knows about them. What does it help the world if you're an amazing person, nobody knows about you? If you have such skills and opportunities and you don't do it. See, I even accuse some people like that being selfish, because if you make so much money, you're very successful, you're very comfortable sitting on and watching the ceiling, and you don't go out wait helping the other people in the world. And I guarantee you, if there's one person in the world you can help and change their life and you don't do it, you're selfish, because you got to give to others, not to keep it for yourself. That's the feeling I had. As I said, I didn't know what I want to do, but this feeling sometimes, like every entrepreneur will tell me the same story in different way. It's so occupied your brain, it becomes so obsessed by this feeling that suddenly the universe brings you opportunities. And within 2 weeks later, after I came back to the Netherlands, I got a call from a huge event company from Singapore, and they are Chinese origin, but in Singapore, and they're coming to do a huge entrepreneurial event in the Netherlands. And they were on stage: Dalai Lama, Richard Branson, Al Gore, and Les Brown, and others, very big name in the industry. But then they got from the president of Singapore, the old man that already died, but he knew me, and he said, "Hey, if you go to Holland, you need Itzik on that stage." And they called me to invite me in 2 weeks if I want to speak on that stage. I have an hour on the stage. Now, as I said before, I did speak on stage as a tax lawyer. So I have no fear of speaking on stage, but I never spoke in front of thousands of entrepreneurs. What can I tell them? They already know. I'm just a lawyer. I'm a tax lawyer. But I got the opportunity, and maybe another lesson for all of you: when opportunity knock on your door, open the door, because opportunity knock once. Don't doubt it, because if you say not now, come next year, they're not going to come next year. So I said yes, but now I have 2 weeks to prepare. I don't know what to do. I had nothing prepared. I had no book, no best-selling book in that time. I had no training. I had nothing to offer. So for me, um, I went on that stage. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was an amazing event. Of course, I had my story, as you know, and that's why I started establish who I am. And the whole idea of networking that you hear me all in career all my life brought me who I am. I realized, for me, networking was the art of giving attention, not the art of getting attention. With a lot of people you see in social media try to attract attention. Look at me, how amazing I am, instead of giving attention to others. And that's the secret of networking. Those of you who knows me very well know that I'm not an extrovert. I look extrovert, but I'm an introvert. I know communication skills, so I'm, holding my breath away in my. But if you look at me from the side, I'm not a person who really go in the middle of talking. I want to be in the side. I want to be left alone. I not charge myself on people, on stuff. So for me, it was more to show introvert networking is for you, because you're good listeners. You're interested. You care. You're not just coming to talk about yourself and pitch on people. And that's, by the way, where all the seeds for my best-selling book, The Attention Switch, is all about giving attention. So that's what I spoke about. It was a big hit. I got a lot of people who wanted to work with me. So I had to, from that lecture, I had to start my mentoring. I had a lot of mentoring students. I had a group mentoring. I had to establish all my thing that I didn't have then. Then a few months later came my best-selling book, The Attention Switch. And little by little, I come to where I am today. I mean, but you heard, I went out of the legal and accounting and professional world to speak in front of an entrepreneur. I think I turned back U-turn last like 6 years ago. And the reason for it is because I didn't like to be felt like a guru. When you're on the big stages in front of, the biggest event was 50,000 people, but 10,000, 20,000, 5,000, even 1,000, people standing in line to hug you, to take a picture of you, to get. Some people loving it. I hated it. I felt so shrinking me. I felt I cannot talk to people in the level of the eye. I felt that's against what I'm teaching. Networking. Networking is about being equal to each other. Talk to the level of the eyes. And now they're coming and see me like that. How will I gap it? How will I let them know I'm normal? Because they don't want to believe it. They want to see this person they're idolizing, and I don't want that. And I felt, I needed to go back. And I felt that from that on, I have a motto that I love to speak in front of intelligent, arrogant people and melt them like chocolate in the sun. That's fit very well. The lawyers, accountant, that industry. It's arrogant, intelligent, and if you speak to them, listen to you, all melting, and people will cry. People know me. I speak on stage. They will cry. They would laugh. They're even gonna hug each other and kiss. Maybe before Corona, I don't know what will happen after Corona. We'll see. But and that's what I love. And I went back to it. Of course, I knew a lot of organizations like the American Bar Association, International Bar Association, AIJA, IPBA, a lot of organizations. And I started helping all those organizations. I mean, it's for me, not for the ego. I don't need any titles. I don't, although I'm paying my bars, and that's the reason for ego I'm paying it. I'm not paying it because I'm giving tax advice or legal advice. Is because you speak to people, to lawyers, and they look at you and say, who are you, just a speaker? You feel like that. So first I'm covering them with all the ego. I was the chairman of the tax law. I was in IBA. I was in IFA. I was all those things. And now let's talk of the level of the eye. So a lot of people think you're nobody, treat you like that. Again, ego, if you position the ego in the right place, now we can talk at the level of the eyes. Now you can reach them. Now you can help them. You cannot help people when you lower or higher than them, right? You only can help them when they feel comfortable with you and they start sharing with you. And so that's who I am. And now I'm, as you know, international speaker, best-selling author, business mentor, trainer, but just people who love people. Everything that I do, offline, online, you'll see, it's all about building relationships. I mean, some of them is relationship I have for years, some of them is new relationship I just like to scare myself. Some it's almost like a game. And that's why I teach. I teach many times people that's maybe a good exercise for your listening, Yanis, is take a piece of paper, write to yourself, who are the 20 people you want to meet this year? What are the 20 people you want to meet this year to make the coming 12 months amazing year for you? Who are these people? Do you know the name? It doesn't matter if you know them or not, but who are them? Write them on paper. And then when you have those names on paper, start to think, okay, how can I know the biggest CEO of the oil and gas company? Who can bring me? When you think about, you see those people in your network that you already know will pop up in your mind. Oh yeah, this guy I met in his birthday. Oh, the lady, the wife of this person worked on oil and gas. Oh yeah, this person I know he was used to be. You're gonna get closer, and we all know, we all connect to each other at least with 6 degrees of separation, or social media based on that. Some people will argue and say, in our days it's 3.5 degrees of separation. But I guarantee you, if you do this exercise, you don't need 12 months. Within the first quarter, you'll meet all these 12 people. And then what you should do, make a lonely list of 20 people. But this is what I used to teach everybody. And when you go to events and you have this list and you meet people offline, online, pull up the list, because the person you speak doesn't have to be your client. Another human being you met doesn't have to be your client. You don't have to convert them to become your client. It's not enough. You have a nice discussion, you have a chemistry, pull up the list from your pocket and ask this person, may I ask you a question? They probably will say, sure. Look, this is a list I made of 20 people I want to meet in the coming year, because I know they will help me make my business amazing, my law firm business, my accounting firm amazing. Do you know any of them? Do you know anybody who can get me there? And people will volunteer. Will tell you, yeah, this person I know, or this person my wife worked there, this I do not know. And that's how you get faster to meet those people. So that's in short why and what am I doing, and I hope that answer in length, Yanis.
Wow, what amazing life story, Itzik. Fantastic. You already answered a lot of questions I wanted to ask. So it's but let's start at the beginning. You mentioned this story of terrorist attack. Would you like to share this story to our audience?
Sure. I mean, so first I should say that we always say facts tell, stories tell, and the reason for it is I'm saying it because a lot of us have stories. Each one have stories. Each of us think the stories it's not important. Who cares about it? And some of the stories we don't tell because we don't want mercy. I never shared the story because I didn't mercy. I was not miserable. I didn't feel miserable. I get over it. People see me sometimes tell these stories on stage and sometimes have tears in my eyes. And I'm not crying because I'm painful because of what I'm going to share with you. I'm painful because I'm in my heart. I feel how many times I need to tell this audience the story and they keep not changing. What else do I need to do? It's painful to me to see that. Because there's a lesson beyond the story. The whole book, by the way, my best-selling book, The Attention Switch, starts with that story. And the story called The Hug of My Life. And what is the story? Actually, I used to live So that's the beginning. In that time, um, in that period of time, I lived in Israel and I worked for one of the biggest tax firm in Tel Aviv, and I'm originally from Jerusalem. And I met a nice lady, a Dutch lady, a tourist who came to Israel. She was a ballerina, came to Israel to be 1 year in au pair. And during the time I met a beautiful blonde, blue eyes lady, and just, felt gay fun. But I had to go to Jerusalem to meet her. So I will, work in Tel Aviv. It's about an hour every day. So I will stay a few days a week with a house in Jerusalem with the family. And then, in the morning I get up, take the bus to the central station in Jerusalem, and from there take another bus to the law firm in Tel Aviv. That's what my normal routine. And in that day, on the 25th of February, 1996, again, I was there staying with my girlfriend. Woke up in the morning. Now, if you were with me, I would have a croissant and coffee or whatever it is. And then I was about to go get the bus that I was taking every morning to go to the central station in Jerusalem. My girlfriend hugged me, and I ran and I missed the bus. So in the morning it's the same routine every country, the same people waiting, same seats, and if you miss the bus, it's another 10 minutes or so, and the next bus will come, and you're afraid you'll miss your connection bus to Tel Aviv. So and I waited. A new bus came, and we on the way to Jerusalem. And somewhere in the way to the central station, there were police, and police asked the bus to go from another route. And in that time there was a lot of things going on in Israel, and so we're very curious. So in the way to the central of Jerusalem, we asked the driver if he could put the radio on to see what's going on. Um, and that's what we heard, that the bus I was taking every day exploded and everybody died. Um, but yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's a very known attack because actually it's the first time the same bus attack week after week. And it's a very, people who visit Jerusalem could see it in the central state, in the central Jerusalem. There's a big memorial because that's one of the times that nobody survived. It was really huge attack on the bus, and in the morning the bus was really packed with people. So it was really almost 80 people died there in that attack. Um, yeah, and that's never shared with me as a lawyer. I never wanted mercy, I said. I never want, but this is where the spark of life, the spark of people, the caring for people start for me. And as I said, my book started with a story called The Hug of My Life, because a hug is more than just a hug. And when I speak on public, as I said, it's look weird when I'm talking about it, but I always make a bet with the organizer. I make all the audience, yeah, the lawyer, the accountant, the tax advisor, yeah, the one that you don't believe, hug each other and jump on each other's arm. And all the organizers, Itzik, are you crazy? These are lawyers. I said, listen, trust me, I know what to do. And within 3 minutes, everybody hug each other. But here's the interesting story. Because then I asked the audience, who here in the audience never met this person who just hugged? And many people raised their hand. And I asked two people, okay, who did you hug? This person. Okay, great. Did you both play it fully? I said, sure. So what did you feel when you hugged this person and you never knew him? Now, each of us who are listening to me now, know that when you give a hug to a person, really mean it, not just a hug just because it's politeness. I mean, in many of our business relations, we don't hug. I mean, including my country, we don't hug in Israel, people. It's not that we see people, but some of you hugging naturally, some people you like. And when you hug, when you give, if you really do it for the rest of your life, you'll see that with this act you could transform information, caring, love, authenticity, whatever word you want to create there. By this little hug, you can transfer information to the other person. And I even have, in many events, I even showed evidence for it. How? Right away after my talk, there was a coffee break. And I asked the cameraman to follow up some of the people that hug each other. Who do you think people naturally go to speak right away after my lecture in the coffee? They say to connect people, you don't need to pitch, to bullshit, to try to impress. You just need to be authentic human being. And when you do that, that's the power of attention. You magnetize the soul of the other human being. Because attention, by the way, it's not just a plain word. Attention is a muscle of the brain, proved by science in Germany. Attention is like you have a muscle of your body. Attention is muscle of the brain. And if you use it right, it's a magical thing. That's why, by the way, in English we say you pay attention. It's like money. You pay with it. And
Yes.
that's the power of it. So that's for me how you build relationship. That's the story. That's the connection. That's where it's from the bottom of my heart. It's so deep inside of me. Yeah, and that's, I guess, that's what they said. They said the taste of the end. That's my life. That's my story, and that's my distant point of view about what we call networking,
Yeah.
building relationships.
It feels it left a strong sort of feeling in your heart and strong impact on what you did afterwards in your life. And
True.
then you mentioned about traveling a lot to different countries. What what was the inspiration? Or how did you lift up your sort of bottom from your chair and go to different countries? What was the decision process in your mind, and what was the uh, aftermath? How did you met those how did you meet those guys, and how do you see these different cultures? Are people really different in different cultures, or people are people, and in business you feel everybody is sort of on the same line?
I loved your question because I talk a lot about business culture, but I hate people using culture as a escape route. Because sometimes people say, "Oh, it's different culture." I said, "Really? Do you know that when it's painful, and correct me if I'm wrong, when it's painful, something's pain. Babies, when it's painful, cry all over the world, right? Is that true or not true? Did you ever see a baby that is painful but start laughing? All babies cry. How come?
Mm.
There's no culture? What, there is an angel to teach this baby before it come to earth, when it's pain you have to cry? That's a human being. There are some things in the world that nobody will convince me to be kind, to be nice, to all those things. So these are human distant behavior. This, by the way, things that artificial intelligence will never, ever, ever be able to duplicate. That's why humans should do it. Giving attention, only human can do. Trust, only human can produce. All those things that Warren Buffett said, beautiful, once beautiful quote, who said, all these things are like air we breathe. When it's there, nobody notices. When it's not there, everybody notices. These are all distant human behavior. Only you as human can see. If somebody don't give you attention, we all know, right? Remember on the phone, then suddenly you speak to somebody, this is silent. What's we all gonna do? Are you still there? Because we need this clue. Because people say, mm-hmm. They give us clue. They're giving us attention. They're paying attention to what they say. So all those things are, we all knows how to find them. So culture is not an obstacle, but on the other hand, yes, you have to be driven by curiosity, by love. I must admit that even different part of my career, the traveling came from a different point of my character. When I was younger, it was more discovering the world, escaping the routine, discovering other places. Of course, loving to travel, meeting other people. When you get older, you don't want to travel anymore. You're tired. You want to stay with your family. So when you get older, it's not about you anymore. As I said before, it's about you sharing your message with more people around the world. And if you're not moving your ass, they're not going to hear about it. You're not going to change your life. The easiest thing for me nowadays is to stay home. The easiest thing. Well, I don't need it. For what do I need it? I mean, but there's another part of it, and I think that's what everybody now noticing in Corona is the interaction with people internationally. The human connection is so, because we are social behavior, it's so much important on the physical connection, not online. Although we all of us meeting a lot of people on Zoom and Teams and all that kind of way online, we are not lonely, but we feel the loneliness because the social behavior, the energies when we touch each other, we see each other physically, it's totally different. We needed to charge our soul. Again, that's thing was proved again by German scientists many years ago, that they show that the person could sit home, don't go out, don't danger of car accident or whatever diseases, sit home safely, or you send a human being outside, cross the street, all the danger, the person who went outside will live longer. Why? Because we are social behavior. But I think for me, as I said, when I was young, I wanted to discover the world. When I got older, part of it was part of my job. And because I always wanted to be two steps ahead of the crowd. So when I was in the trust companies, in a matter of fact of how the business worked, the tax lawyer get the business, right? And then the tax lawyer, when they start the structure, they're going to call corporate manager service provider who manage the entities. So they are last in line. But I don't like to be last in line. I have relationship from the core. So when I went to market, I met CEOs. I mean, when I went to India, everybody who dreamt about India in 2005 or so, I was met all the people that was stand at the airport. I met, the Reliance and the Tatas, and I met the Bajaj and all the big companies of the world. Everybody dying to have clients. I met them there. And I just every 2 months met them. I had no business, but within the first year, I brought $74 million of business of just the first core of India in the first year. Now we even not even the second or third tier of Indian companies going out. So there were a lot of Indian in the 90s already started international structures. So the reason for it was there is no other way for me just to go there every single 2 months and build relationship. So there was no other way. I cannot come every 6 months because when you have seeds in the ground, you need to water it consistently in a different way, but you need to water it. If you don't water it, the seed will die. And you have to water it. You don't have to have any interest. You go there, you have dinner, you talk with stuff. And for me, there was the contradicting between building relationship, because that's what I'm all about. That's what I love, building relationship for the long term. Then, when I worked for ABN AMRO, I was commercial director of ABN AMRO Bank. The discussion was how many clients brought in. And I never cared about our clients. I'm not a sales guy. I'm not bringing clients. I'm not getting my salary based on clients. So Bond bullshit me on that. I said, I build relationships. And I also said, to my boss, 10 years from now, with this relationship I just brought you today, will bring you $100 million. And both of us knows that I won't be here anymore. Will you call me? I said, Itzik, remember this relationship brought us here? Come take your commission. You will not. So just shut up, I said. I'm building relationship. It's always for lifetime because relationship, there are two things nobody can steal away from you. If I want to get some motivation to our listeners, two ways, whatever they will do for you, they cannot take. It's your relationship and your knowledge. They could fire you, they could throw you, but your relationship and your knowledge goes always, always with you. Even if you work for a firm and you build relationship, it's relationship with you. Nobody will build relationship with the logo of a firm. It's with you as a human being. It's a chemistry between human. It's human to human. And that's the power of relationship. And that's why I invested in it. That's why I call it, till these days, relationship capital. There's things that we don't have in a balance sheet. But that's the most important thing. Our employees, our partners, our relationship we build in life, our clients, they're not in your balance sheet, but they are the most. So if you're judging me by how much relationship capital, I'm a billionaire. In relationship capital, I'm a billionaire for sure. Unfortunately, we measure ourselves by money and other things or ego, not by really what care, but we all know what's the most important part. So for your question, international, yes. I mean, definitely when you live in the Netherlands, all your work is international. When you do international tax, all your work is international. My clients are not here in the Netherlands, we're always being international. When I dealt with wealthy families, they wanted to see you. They were not going to send you email about those things. They want face-to-face discussion. And a lot of them, the discussion was not even business. It was funny to me to realize. Sometimes it's just connecting, talking about life, talking about some stuff. And then maybe at the end, 10 minutes about just to see that you're on top of the business. So it was so funny, but also for me to realize that don't feel guilty. I used to feel guilty. Oh my God, I need to talk business. What are they talking about? What to order, what to eat, how is life? But that's part of building relationship, which a lot of people don't understand. Yes, it's a joy. If you're loving it, it's joyful. It's hard work because you have to put your energies and your dedication for it, but it's joyful. I always said you can live like a billionaire without being a billionaire because I met a lot of billionaires that take me in the plane and the yacht and have a nice life with them, and I don't have that billions they had. You see, so not necessarily. So think that part also attract me, also part of my life, and I was attracted to the psychology of the human being. I always wanted to know how did it become, because I never. Maybe it's another lesson for our listeners. Success is not coincidental. Success is something you don't build in lottery. And I was obsessed when I was a young lawyer because I saw people, all these wealthy people I met. They play golf, they eat lunches, they have fun, and I work hard, 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 hard. And I couldn't understand it. How could it be that they make so much money and I work out, get nothing? And I always asked, I was very curious, always asked, how did you do it? Many of them couldn't explain. But I realized there's a pattern of thinking. So I started reading and thinking. And I can tell you, and it's what I hear me saying on stages, to a lot of us it sounds crazy. But here's this. Here it goes to it. It goes, the less you work, the more money you make. The opposite what you learn. And people ask me, how do you do that? So I'll give you an example. I mean, I took a lawyer many lawyers last year because a lot of them discover. And for example, package somebody who was in the mediation world, and I knew he has a lot of knowledge. He's very good in it, and I packaged him, helped him package his knowledge, and then taught him how to go to the first group of people and offer that to them. And we did that based on the thing I'm teaching. In the end, just to make the long story short, in the first month, he sold for 500 other people an online course we created. It cost $1,000 or $997 in 1 month. In 1 month. And since that day, he could sell every single day. He doesn't have to work because the course is ready. It's online. This is how do I mean? The less you work, the more money you make. If you work too hard in your business, if you're running after yourself, most of the lawyers have a business like that, like the hula hooper. And that is not what you plan when you start being a partner in the law firm or your own business. You want it to grow, grow, grow like this, right? Slowly, slowly grow. But no, none of them is like that. All of them is like this. That makes me sad. Why? Because they are systems, not hopes, not thinking. They're systems. People did it before. Go learn the system and copy paste. Now, when you reach success, not go improve it, change it, make it your own. Don't be smart ass, and don't go to people that don't have this knowledge. This is why, as a lawyer, I never like consultants or coach. It sounds I call myself mentor, by the way, not coach. And the reason is because a lot of them are senior people, but they had nothing other to do, so they decide to become a coach. But they never reach success. How could they teach me where I want to go if they've never been there? I mean, it's like going to a banker asking how to invest your money. And are you doing that? I hope the answer is no, because if people are going to the banker asked to invest the money, it's the most stupid thing in the world. Because if the banker know how to invest the money, they become themselves billionaire. But the evidence, they're not. They're getting salary from a bank. So if you want to invest the money, go to Warren Buffett and ask him. Ask him, how do I invest my money? He will tell you copy paste. That's all what you have to do. The same in business. If as a lawyer, as an accountant, as a tax advisor, you want to reach more success, go find people who've been there. I'm an example of that. I've been there. As you heard, my story is successful. And I did it several times. Now, I distilled it, find what works, what's the system. I tried it with some of the thing, hundreds of lawyers, sometimes with thousands of lawyers. Now I know it works in the different countries, different world. Now I can teach it. And now I only say people, don't be smart ass. Copy what I'm teaching. If you're stupid, copy it. Reach success, now go change it, do your own with it. I don't care. That's the secret. I mean, a lot of people don't invest in that, you know.
I hear what you're saying. My grandmother told me the same thing, that nobody can take away your knowledge that you learned during the lifetime. But unfortunately, she didn't say about the relationship. So let's talk about
why
that.
always grandma is always right.
Yeah. Yeah, surprise, surprise. But let's switch our attention to your book, Attention Switch.
Yeah.
So tell me more about this book. I read from the sort of commentaries that one of the commentaries is that it's Dale Carnegie's super under upgraded for the cyber age, or the other is Attention Switch is a unique and fresh approach to changing your life for once and for all, and getting ahead. So tell me more about the book. What is it about? What are the main principles there?
So first, I would tell to those people that listen to us that in every person that listen to me, there is a book inside of you. It just never decided to stop and write, and I never stopped to. I always wanted, but I was too scared. Every time I was going to the U.S., I remember going to one of the Best Buy, whatever, and looking at this program that I don't know if it still exists. That used to you could talk and it will type it for you, because I was too lazy to type it. But I knew if I could talk my book, it will come out. Somebody will edit it, and every time I look and I said, it's $250. I don't want to spend that on that, and I would not buy it. And that's for years and years and years. And every time I had, oh my God, that's nobody will read. Nobody cared about it. I don't need to write. And one day he started writing. And at the end of the day, it was the first book. So the first book was then, for me, my heart book. There's still the stories that I had. But when you start writing a book, it will flow out of you. I will wake up every morning at 4 a.m, start writing and writing and writing and writing. It was so much out of me. I can tell you there was so much thing didn't come out because When you start writing the first book, you discover you have actually 8 books inside of you, and so much more. But then you discover, okay, now what do I want to teach? On one hand, I wanted to speak about what I'm good at, building relationship, how to do it right, what to do, and not only for business in general, but in the same time, I wanted to be very much mine, my distal point of view, my way of thinking about networking, because people hate the word networking. There's so many negative connotations. We have so many network jerks who teach us bullshit about elevator pitch and all kind of other shit that nobody cares about. And I hated it as well. And so I tried to make a mix between personal stories, what I learned from them, and how does it connect to the whole thing. And I build it up around building relationship. Now, yes, there is a lot of influence of Dale Carnegie, because one of the book I read when I was a child was Dale Carnegie, and I used to give it as a present later on as to friends for birthday. Is though how to make more friends and influence people. That's the name of the book. Amazing book, although it's for the last century, but so unique and so great. The problem I had is that I never first shared that I had it. Second, I couldn't find the book anymore. I don't know why my father had this book. He never know that he had this book. It's like magic, It was on the shelf. I cannot find it anymore in my parents' house. Disappeared. But that's influencing my way of thinking. Um, and I don't know if I did it consciously, unconsciously. That's the way I behaved. But later on, of course, when I wrote the book, I realized that all the thing I did is exactly the pattern of those behavior of giving attention. Now, um, the book is intentional in order to help people take any relationship, whatever it is, with your clients, with your partner, with your business, with your friends, and build it on the right ground that it won't be in every certain moment of time seen as selfish, promotional, salesy, or needy. It's based on equal parties, and it's based on the act of giving attention. And I ask a lot of questions. What is giving attention? If somebody is different between men and women, old and young, I mean, how do you give attention? How does attention? I developed 7 strategies, 7 C's as I call them, that each one of them on different aspect of it is communication, is the connection, is the content, is creativity, a lot of components that build this attention, what we call attention, and make it very practical that people can really take it and literally, as I said, copy and do it. It was just introducing people to this world. Based on that, I even had for a while the Power Networking Bootcamp. So to teach my book and all the stuff took 2.5 days. It was a huge thing, but it took so much energies on me. Every time I did it, like 2.5 days, I had 3 days after tired like hell sleep because all my energies goes out. People start discovering that I can read people, although I don't have magical touch. Everybody has abilities, but I could see somebody and I can read, and I wanted to know how do I do that. Then I discovered that I was in travel in Moscow, and I discover, and I was thinking about the Russian guy I met years before in Israel. I've never been in touch with him since. And suddenly my phone was ringing, and this person was on the phone. How come? How does he know? What is that? Coincidental? Cannot be. So when I found those rules, I always call them the rules of the universe. I'm a very curious person. I want to know how come, what it is. It's not Murphy law. We must know more than we know. So, and then I discovered there's a lot of rules in this world that we take for granted. But if we know how to apply them, it creates magic. So we know, for example, the gravity law, right? We know if I have a glass and drop it on the floor, it will break. But if I ask you, can you explain to me how does it work? Many of us do not know because they don't know physics or they don't know. But they know it exists. Exactly the same thing. So when you think about somebody, it happened to many of us, right? Probably for you, Yanis, as well. You thought about somebody, suddenly this person appear, and we call it Murphy. Oh, I just thought about you. So here's the secret. The secret is the eyes didn't see the person. The brain could see. Your brain can stroll 2 streets away, see what's going on over there. You have this ability, but we never tap into that. And sometimes coincidentally we tap into it, and then when your eyes see the person, he said, well, coincidence, I just thought about you. Here's another example in networking. When you go to an event, there are thousands of people in the room. Do you agree with me? It's hard to see 1,000 faces, right? So when you enter to the auditorium, there are 1,000 people in this networking event. You probably will see 10, 15 faces right away, jump to your face, right? And if I ask you, can you show me these 10, 15 faces? Most people forget right away after this. But what happened? I teach you what happened. Actually, when you come to this room, your brain scanning all these 1,000 faces. You've been able to see all of them. The brain will compare all those people in this event to all the people you know in your life, your library in your brain. Because constantly when you meet people, when you cross the street, when you walk, you see people you never saw in your life. And your brain is doing like, don't like, don't like, don't like, all the time, constantly, and updating the library. So when you come to the event, meet the 1,000 faces, your brain will compare all of them to all the people in your brain and show you on a silver tray, here are the 10, 15 people you should probably connect with because something will come out of it. Now, I will advise a lot of people, when you go to an event like that, stand 10, 15 minutes in the side of the room. Don't bother, don't talk to nobody. Let the brain relax. Let the brain scan the room, and the brain will show you the people. If you don't have good memories, pick up a pen and paper, start writing yourself. Oh, this person with the black glasses. Oh, this lady with a red scarf. Write yourself, and not go meet those people. I promise you, you'll see magic come into your life. You meet people like you feel like you know them for 20 years. You meet people right away, collaboration partner. Why? Because there was something you know. And some of you meet these people anyway during the conference, and then magic. Yeah. So if you do it more intentional, within 20 to half an hour beginning of the event, you can meet the people you need to meet, and now you have 2 days of event that you can relax. So these are totally different things, people. So all the networking, what I teach in my book and everything, is other ways of people learning. Oh, I'll give you another example I love to talk about is the Benjamin Franklin effect. Have you heard about that before?
No.
So Ben Franklin, so here's another way. I took it from the autobiography of Ben Franklin. So in the autobiography, Ben Franklin wanted to be elected to the American Congress. He was very popular, but there was one person he always talked that he was always opposing him. And Ben Franklin wanted to change this attitude of this person to make it more a supporter. And Ben Franklin knew that this person has an interesting book that he really wanted to read. So he approached this person and asked him, will you do me a favor? Will you lend me this book? Because I would love to read it. So the person, sure, he gave him the book. And Benjamin Franklin read in the book. And then he came back, gave back the book to this person with a thank you note. And in the autobiography of Ben Franklin, what he says, from that day onward, this person was always the first to support everything Ben Franklin said. And they become friends to the rest of the life of this person. He never mentioned the name. Now, what is Benjamin Franklin effect? Benjamin Franklin knew something very interesting. We all know to build relationship, we need actually a way of the stages, as we all know. We have to know the person, we have to like them, we have to trust them, and maybe then something will start developing. But if you don't have no like and trust, you can forget about it. But Benjamin Franklin knew that, and when, let me ask you a question, Yanis. Will you do a favor to somebody you dislike?
Most likely
Most probably not, right?
not. Yeah.
Most probably not. Most of us don't. Why should we? So when Benjamin Franklin said the word, will you do me a favor? Will you do me a favor and lend in this book? And that moment, this person decided to give them the book. And that moment, this person liked him. Okay. And when you do a favor to somebody you like, trust will come right away. And that's what they mentioned. I did it, by the way, myself in 2014. I went on Facebook. I said, you know what? Let me try it to see on my community. Those people, I think, they call themselves my friends. When I used to, I'm not using Facebook anymore, but I put a big post. I needed something. I forgot what it is, but I put, will you do me a favor? And see who will jump out. Who will come say, sure, Itzik, I will help you. Because here's the lesson. And I want people to listen, because in Corona time is a good time to talk about it. Please do not wait till the time you have trouble in your life and you wait to see who's your friend. Because many of us will be disappointed to find nobody there. Try to find who are your friends, who are your allies when you're good, when you are happy. Because when you're happy, a lot of people come your way. They all want to suck your blood. They all want something. But find your friends. Find the real people. Because when you really need them in your life, and we all need them, we will always have up and down. You always this down moment. And you know now, Yanis, what I'm talking about. That's the moment. And that's too late many times. This is exactly the lesson. So all those things are packaged, but it's again in the way of practical. I don't like to talk theories, yes, and sound inspiring. Some people say I'm an inspirational speaker. Some people think I'm a motivational speaker. So here's the listener, here's the lesson for all of you. I'm not a motivational speaker. And Les Brown, as I told you before, is a very non-motivational speaker. Tell me, Itzik, you are not, and you don't want to be a motivational speaker. Why? Because if you come to a room full of idiots, the maximum results you can get is motivated idiots. So I'm not a motivational speaker. Yes, I'm doing my stuff. I'm teaching my stuff in a different way, sometimes inspiring way. I love experimental training, and the reason for it, because if I want to take you out of your comfort zone, you will never listen. So I do crazy stuff because when I'm crazy, you open up, boom, I put you the knowledge. That's the only reason I'm doing this thing. And because I hate boring speakers, that's it.
I can already imagine a couple of people with whom I have difficult relations to try this Benjamin Franklin method. So
It's
let's
actually
see.
scary to a lot of people you hate. Actually, did a lot in the office because they would don't know what the hell. I mean, because they don't expect you to ask for a favor for them. And when you ask it, they start changing their mind about you. This is crazy sounds, but it's true. I mean, somebody you had difficult relationship at the office, try it. Sincerely, okay? Don't bullshit them. When you
Yeah.
need help on something and you know they have some knowledge about it, go ask for a favor. Do me a favor. I need your help. I cannot find how to fix this. I don't know, whatever. The spam filter on my computer. I know you're good in that. Look how you change by these words. Will you do me a favor? The attitude toward you. They will be puzzled, I'm telling you. They don't know what you want from them.
And I know you work with lawyers, and
Sure.
lawyers are sort of different species, and and they are afraid of word selling. So I sometimes even get a feeling that the lawyers are in relations with the word selling, like in Harry Potter story, there was a Voldemort that nobody can mention his name. So, so do you, in your opinion, lawyers really sell, or they don't?
So again, amazing question. But again, to remind the audience, I'm a lawyer and accountant in my profession. So it's very much appealing to me. What you're asking is not that I'm coming from a different world, but you know what irritates me, Yanis, is when sell people, top sell people in the world. I was once on stage with Tom Hopkins, very known guy of selling, like almost like Zig Ziglar, top sales guy. And he told me, it's like, you're an amazing sales guy. I said, Tom, I'm a lawyer. And I was protecting myself all the time because we used to say we hate sales. We always say we hate sales. I used to say it all the time. And the salesperson tell me I'm an amazing sales guy. I said, what are you talking about? And then I realized during the last few years, I think, that actually everything we do is selling. Even if I ask my wife, what is for dinner tonight? And she said, there's this X and Y and Z. And I said, oh, but I prefer to have these tonight. And the moment I did that, I'm selling her something. So if you don't understand that everybody sells, then you will never understand what I'm trying. So we as lawyers need to think all the time about this cheap sales guy who's trying to push you something you don't need. Yeah, that's we hate it. I agree 100%. But
Mhm.
and this, by the way, why a lot of lawyers or a lot of even people failing building relationship, because building relationship, as you know, and that's what I help more than 23,000 of them, is the follow up. It's not when you meet somebody networking. This is just sit in the ground. 98% of business comes from the follow up. Only 2% of business come when you meet somebody, they have something for you. I mean, you know yourself, when you meet some people, they don't like, oh, I waited for you all my life, here's something. No, it takes time. How long will you follow up with people? And that's the difference between a lawyer and a salesperson. Here's the truth. Microsoft did the research, and they found out that the salesperson will follow up because they want to get the sale, right? But maybe 3, 4 times, and then they give up. Why? Because they need to go. They make money from sales. They cannot waste your time follow up with somebody who doesn't buy. They have to find a new prospect and sell. But you, as lawyer, we are not selling for selling, but you're selling to serve because you have something valuable to you. Imagine, because that's why I said follow up is a mindset, and that's where the mindset of lawyers is wrong. Lawyers, accountant, any professional, because imagine Yanis, and imagine if our listeners, you have a pill, a magical pill that can cure somebody who was very, very sick. And the other person is very sick, he's going to die. And you have a pill that 100% can cure them. How many times will you follow up and call them to take your pill? If you're a good person, how many times will you do that?
Until he's cured.
Exactly. You will never stop, right? You'll follow up. You call them every day, maybe 3 times a day. Take my pills. I'm telling you, take my pills, my friend. You have to be healthy. You need to take my pill. You will never stop. If you're a good person, you're not going to feel guilty about it. Why should you feel guilty? Because you're serving them. You want to help until they get, I don't want you. I want to die. Get the fuck out of my life. Sorry to use that word. Until the moment, you should not stop. See, when do you stop following up? Never. But because you as a lawyer don't believe in your product like this pill, you don't believe that what you're offering is like this pill, serving these people to really help them, that's why you start feeling salesy and in all kind of shitty and nudgy and whatever. And that's why you say, oh, I cannot bother them. Let me wait 24 hours. I made 2 weeks before. That's the problem. It's a mindset. So sell, it's a dirty word. Like networking is a dirty word. But we all know you have to build relationship. We all know we have to get new clients or get clients interested in our stuff to build our business. And guess what? Who do you think the first people who jump to buy from you? The people who love you. The people who trust you, like you. So here's another lesson to you. If there's somebody comes to you and said, hey, Itzik, my friend, I love you so much. I'm my friend. Give it for me for free. Run away from these people. These are not your friends. People come to ask for free. Are not your friends. You know what the friends? Friend is a person willing to pay double the price than others because he's your friend. You're not going to fuck them up. You're not going to lie to them. You're going to stay there because you're your friend. You're not going to run. You're going to face them every day. And they trust you. And you are the only one who could say to your friend, my dear friend, I know you want to pay double, but don't worry, I'm your friend. I will give you that for free. This is a very lesson for you to listen. You want to select the people in your life. If you don't select the people in your life, you'll be bitterness. You'll be not joyful. You'll be running after people. That's why I have another system I teach a lot of lawyers called the client engagement system. It's a real system, really the text and who said everybody in the office involved, that when somebody comes to your office as the partner, as the lawyer, as the tax advisor, 98% they become clients. They don't come to shop around to waste your time. You don't want those people anymore. How do you do that? It's a system. There's a way, there's a word. It's actually, we call it the unselling process. It's the opposite of selling. You're pushing people away like you don't want to help them. So only the people who really want you will raise their hand and say, no, I want you. And willing to pay and stay. And all the rest will go away. So there's a process. There's words we use in communication. Sometimes it's one word in the email that make somebody answer my email and others don't. These are all things you need to learn. These are not hopes. Hopes are not strategies. The thing that the other industries knows very well. Our industry are very stubborn to learn. We think we are smart ass. Please learn them. In networking, we have another process called the power of conversation. How do I make the person I'm talking to select themselves? Now I can help them answer me the question I want to answer, and know if they have maybe already served by another lawyer and they're happy and I cannot help them. And then you don't need to waste your time and bother them. There's a certain question like, how are you doing? Sounds stupid question. Of course it's a stupid question. If you meet somebody stranger and ask them, how are you doing? What do you want them to tell you? Oh, I feel miserable. I divorced 17 times. Bank. They don't know you. They're all going to say, oh, I'm doing good. What they're going to say to you. But the same question, after several other questions, can really open a Pandora box. So you need to know which question to ask. And that's something you learn in advance. When you learn how to do it, then it comes naturally in conversation. But then you get to where you want. So all those things are systems and not hopes and not thinking. And you start paying attention to those who are very good in that. You see they're doing it, maybe unconsciously, but they're doing it that way. That's why they are good in what they're doing.
Yeah. I guess we could talk about this for another hour or at least.
I told you 2.5 days. Networking bootcamp. Sure.
I'm conscious of your time and your phone is busy already buzzing. So, do we have some 7 minutes more until 12? Yeah. Okay. Great. I wanted to ask also about. The life, on reflecting what you're saying, that life is short, and is it the right approach that to work with the clients you like, to work with the networking contacts you like, or it's not the right approach to select only the ones you like?
So the question is in place, and of course, a lot of people listening who are young, who cannot, will say, yeah, big deal for you guys if you success and say that. It's true, because when you're young, you're not daring to do that. and especially yourself. I remember advising it to others, but when it comes to me, maybe I didn't, and I suffer quietly. So you're right, it's good, but I think except for your parents, and maybe you cannot choose who they are,
Mm.
and if you have shitty parents, you're stuck. I mean, everything else for sure. I mean, if you're sitting in a job that you hate, your boss, your partner, move. If you have a client that make you miserable, throw them away. Now, don't think about, oh my God, who will pay my bills? Here's the secret: when you throw away those people who waste your time, what you're gonna get back? A space, and that space you can get better client who spend less your time, and you make me even make more money. But the
Mm.
thing that don't let you do these steps is two things: experience. I understand, but the worst thing is fears. Again, these fears. The fears that come to protect you. Don't want your stupid mistakes. To
Mm.
deal with fears, here's the clues for your listeners. There are two ways. One way is, as I said, experience. So if you have more experience, those will not come back because experience is one of the cure for fears. The more you do something, you know how to do it. Now there's no fears anymore there. The other way, fears is like weight, lifting. So let's assume, let's take example. I don't know what. Somebody want to approach a beautiful lady and afraid she will laugh at him, and all his friends will be joking him. So that's the biggest fear. How do you do that? So I'll say, if you want to train to do that, like weightlifting, smile for one person every day. Great. After a week, maybe start smiling for two people a day. Great. After 2 weeks, maybe approach a lady and give her a compliment. It's like lifting. You want to lift 300 kilo. You don't lift 300 kilo. You lift 50 and 70 and 80 and 100 and maybe 295 and then maybe 299. And if you're not making 299, you make 250, 295 and a half, 296, make smaller
Mm.
steps. In the end, you're going to be able to reach 300 kilo. That's how you deal with fears. That's how you deal with everything you want to do. So the answer, if you have to choose what is your passion about? I mean, it's a beautiful thing to say about your passion change during life. I mean, your life changing. So joy is something. There's a joy that's temporarily that make you happy on the day where you are in your life, and there's a external joy for lifetime. Like I think marrying somebody is you want it to last forever. You don't want it to stop. See, there are some joys that you wanted the deal. I mean, yeah, great. You take champagne, whatever, you celebrate it, and that moment is finished. But what you said is true, and I think something I learned during my career: celebrate those little moments as well,
Mm.
and not to say, yeah, I know how to do it. No, celebrate and not build yourself. Also with your team, show them it's a moment to celebrate. Even 5 minutes. Everybody, stop it! I just won a new deal. Stop it, everybody! 5 minutes of joy, and everybody, whatever the joy means. We put loud music, you all dance in the office or whatever. Everybody say good things or whatever it is, because this is, by the way, how sales people do as well. If you go to a sale company, they have a big board, and you see what the people achieve, and if the milestone achieved, somebody go to a bell and bell the bell. What is doing it for? Why? So I'm not saying be a salesperson, but it's done for motivation, for the drive, for the unit, for everybody together, for the teamwork. That's what drives success. So sometimes the joy is not personal, it's group joy. But but bottom line, what I'm just trying to say is exactly what you said. Don't do things you don't enjoy, because there's one person who will
Exactly.
be miserable, is you. So, and there's always a choice of better people, better friends. So every person in the universe you don't like working with, there'll be another person with same skills that you like working with. You just have to do efforts and find them. Yeah, sure. That's why I said
I'm
we're always
full.
in selection mode.
I'm fully with you in that sense.
But that's the thing, it's
As
a big deal. We are older guys and we can advise, but it's hard when we're young to think this way, right? To select the people.
as our podcast is called Tax Stories, is something that pops into your mind when I would ask some story that relates to tax, either from your practice or books or movies.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things about tax. I mean, more about the tax itself. You're asking as a substance of a form. I mean, I'm talking about the form itself because for example, I mean, all my career tax started because all the professor in Israel in tax was married to Belgian or Dutch ladies, which was funny for me to find it out. So I thought that's already tax planning. I mean, all my life was tax planning in the Netherlands. You know, but maybe story about taxes. Hmm. I mean, it shaped all my life. I mean, without tax, I'm not going to be international. I mean, I'd be a very local lawyer, you know. So I think tax really changed everything I'm thinking about it. But I think the most important for me in tax is that I could not figure out yet if tax people are more lawyer brain oriented or accounting brain oriented. And some, you know, in the lands where I live, many of the tax advisors are not lawyers, are not accountants, not tax advisor profession. In my country, when I'm come from Israel, I'm a lawyer first. I study law, and I can decide I want to be a. So I started medical law, and I said in labor law, and because I thought everybody get fired or get a car accident. But then because I
Mm.
was accountant as well, tunneled myself into tax. You know, it's kind of speciality. But I can do tomorrow whatever I want, M&A and corporate. I'm not obliged. You know, and some countries are very strict. So, but I think the lawyer brain is something that's very fascinating me because more during the year we find out the lawyers think differently than other business people and other professionals. And I'm asking myself, tax lawyers are falling under the category of lawyers or more accountants or something else, some different species, which is interesting because you have to be creative. That's very much in tax, but in law, not. A lot of lawyers now finding the creativity. What in tax, if you're not creative, yeah, you're just a clerk, you know. So it's very interesting to find it out. Maybe it's worth to think about it more. But I think tax shaped my life as in general. I don't have. I mean, maybe you should direct me which tax story you're looking for, because there are probably many of them.
Well, immediately as you spoke, actually, it's not a text story, but it's a story. If itself. I somehow popped into my mind this story of selling
I
that
use tax
Leonardo.
to
Yeah.
connect with people. I'm not going to lie to you. So when I started speaking on the stages, I met the very known speakers, okay? Very, very known speakers. I was nobody. But when I was walking behind the stage with this known speaker, let's take example, I gave you Les Brown, very known speaker, spoke for so many years. He's in the 70s. I knew I could get all the speakers on one thing, and one thing only. On Article 17, I think, in the tax treaty, artist and artist. And I
Mm.
always used to ask them one question, and I knew I'm going to get them. So every single very known speakers, I knew they don't have a royalty structure. They're selling a lot of books, but they don't have any royalty structures. So I will ask them that, do you have any royalty structures? And they will remember they're in concentration, they're going to speak on stage, they're carrying. And this guy, another speaker, they don't know I'm a tax lawyer because I'm speaking about building relationship and other stuff. Um, and asking that. And they always want to talk to me afterwards. And I end up doing the international tax structure with so many speakers. Of course, don't give the advice myself. I know how to communicate it, but I'll give to other tax lawyers to write it.
Yeah.
But I was very much involved because a lot of them don't have that. You know, the Pavarotti, I think, is section, whatever you call it, Article 17, artist and artist, right?
Yeah.
Um, on
That's a
double
good
tax.
one. That's a good
Yes,
one.
so I mean, that was for me a way of connecting with people because I was very narrow-minded. In tax, I was very good. I felt comfortable, you know. So the art
Perfect.
of small talk. Here we go. So that's a small tax story again for you.
Perfect, perfect. And traditionally, I end my podcast. We already touched about this a little bit about your perception of life, and at some point, you started to think about it. So, what's your formulation of what was the sort of formula you ended up for yourself? What is the meaning of life? What you want to be as your legacy?
So first, I never reached it. I don't think I will reach it. I mean, there is a difference between Itzik on stage and Itzik you're talking now. I think the guy on stage has no boundaries, has no fears, is so into the material. And when I'm watching it, I don't like everybody don't like to watch himself. But I watch those movies, I can see totally different energies. I'm almost coming to almost kind of internal trance, you may say, that I don't care really what people say. It bring me to doubt. Why did I say that on stage? I said something frightening thing on stage. If I look at inside, oh my God, that's crazy. But I remember, standing on stage in front of one of the biggest law firms in the world, partners from all over the world, and I'm doing my shtick, whatever, on stage. And suddenly I see on the audience a senior partner from the UK office, and partner and lawyers in the 50s, like a lord. And I remember people told me he's a very nice guy, but he behaved like an asshole. So I stopped my presentation Sunday on stage. Now I was not planning it. I swear to you, I didn't plan it at all. I stopped. Everybody thought it was some big technical problem. What's going on? This microphone doesn't work. I stopped and I look at this person and said, "Sir, can you stand up?" And he's standing up. I imagine everybody's quiet, thousands of partners from all over the world. And I'm looking at him from stage. Was not planning it again. I would never plan those things. So if you want to invite me as a speaker, don't worry, I will not do it there. And then I look at the guy and said, "I think you're an asshole, but I have a surprise for you." I went out of stage. I went to the back of the room, and everybody's still quiet. He's standing up. Went to the AV guy and asked him, because we filmed everybody who coming to the event, and I asked him if they could put on the two big screen we had there the moment this person arrived to the event. And everybody's watching. He's watching. I'm standing on the side, and you see this guy walking in the room like, "I am the man," like the attitude. You could see him thinking, and I could see him watching that movie with everybody, and he probably thinking to himself, "Holy shit, that's why I look like when I come to the room. That's why," he never realized that. Anyway, to make the long story short, at the end of the event, he came on stage. He gave me a kiss. I'm an English guy. What do you give a kiss? He said, "Listen to me carefully. I was married for 23 years. My wife told me that all the time. I never listened to her. But last year we divorced. But now you hit me." And from that moment, he's very senior partner, very law firm. I'm not mentioning name, but from that moment, we become very good friends. So that's the power of authenticity. And one lesson there for them. I'm not doing it because I'm planning it, but I'm gonna tell to everybody there, it's a mindset. If you're not willing, even in your own office, to come and say what you really think, what you really believe, and willing to sacrifice your job, willing to sacrifice, that maybe they'll fire you because of that. If you're not willing to do that, you will never be successful. Never ever. Because guess what? When you will do it, because you will think carefully what you're going to say, you'll do so much your homework, you'll be so much good in that. So when you really come and say what you really think, as harsh as it sounds, it's the opposite effect. People want you to stay because you care, interested. And if they fire you, great. It's probably you don't belong in this organization. So that's the moment. That's maybe the motto, is to be authentic to yourself, to say what you really want, whoever you want, with all the consequences, because I don't think it will feel you bad to sleep at night. And this is the thing, because I used to carry all the real message between me and my wife, and everybody's so successful, lawyer, whatever, but in my heart, I hated it. It really suffered from politics in the office. I hate those things. I don't like it. But I didn't want to fight it because it just become ugly. So I pretended or escaped traveling without seeing the other board members. But my wife will suffer because I tell all the stories at home and every night, and I hated it. So authenticity for me is number one thing that I really adopted to be the Itzik I really wanted to be, and I feel great with it.
Yeah, that resonates very much with your book and what you do in your life. So I really buy it for myself as well. So
Thank you
it's
very much. There's one thing, if you ever want to buy the book, just go to the attentionswitch.com because it's a limited edition and the money go to charity. So don't go to the Amazon one. It's the international version. I made two versions of the book in order to support a charity. So if you're interested to support charity, go to attentionswitch.com and all the money go net and you get a gift with it. And I signed the book and you get the limited edition. So that's maybe the only sale I'm doing now.
perfect, perfect. By all means, I will do the same as well.
Awesome.
All right, all right. It's been pleasure talking to you, Itzik, and thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. So